Sounds like it. Shoot.
Yep. All right. Welcome everybody to the DrewTooMany podcast. I'm back finally. I have been gone for quite a while. And I feel like all during the summer I've just been going in and out. A lot of different places, been all over the place. But we've got some really big things to talk about this week because Pokemon just dropped their new championship organizational structure for the upcoming competitive season. And Alex has a lot of opinions. I have a lot of opinions. Drew and Trevor out today, but it's going to be me and Alex kind of just having a discussion on what are the good things maybe that came out of it. Alex might have the opinion that there are none.
The good things.
Maybe some
This
of the bad
episode
things
is
that came out of it.
already over.
Yeah, we'll talk about the good things. Okay, now time to move on to the bad things. Definitely, people, and especially Pokemon Twitter, have had their opinions all over it. I've heard that the new competitive structure is bad for people who have a job, and also bad for people who don't have a job. So maybe just bad in general is what I'm hearing. But anyways, Alex has a lot of thoughts, and he's going to lead the discussion this week. So I'll throw it over to him. But before we do that, I also want to say hello to YouTube. We are recording on video this time. So if you want to check this out, then go over to our YouTube channel, which is, I don't know the link yet, actually, but I'll post it on Twitter. We'll figure it out for next time. But this is going to be on YouTube. So if you enjoy listening to the podcast and wanted some sort of video form of it, we're going to have that finally. So yeah,
it doesn't enhance.
Will be in the description.
You'll just see me like playing
see,
RuneScape off to the side and then like chime in every so often.
You just get to see Alex's studio light bounce off his shiny bald head.
my new and improved bald head over here. I've been meaning to look, but Lee said that I burned myself or something because there's like a mark right here. I don't know what that is.
On your head? How?
I don't know, but she's like, it looks like a
podcast episode.
It looks like a burn. See, here's see now you get the added experience of watching the YouTube video, because if you just listen to that, I didn't know what that gross thing on my head looked like. So
perfect.
Really missing out.
All the people wanted. Great. All right, Alex.
Well, that's a great shirt, by the way, too. Look at that shirt, everybody. Dang.
Oh, thank you.
I love those guys. No shit. Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're great. Maybe we should talk about the summary first of what exactly were some of the changes. I'm sure a lot of people already know what some of the big were at this point, but let's go over maybe some of the big ones, because it seems like we're getting kind of the first thing that stood out to me is that we're kind of a combination now of this championship point structure, which we've had for however many years, actually maybe since 2014, the past 10 years, and the ELO structure that we had before then, where now only the top 125 people in North America and the top people in whatever respective organized play region that you're in get the invitation to go to Worlds. And so now there's not this variable amount of people that goes to World. It's fixed now. So that's the number one change that in my mind is just the biggest thing that's changing about the new competitive structure. What are the other big ones? Changes the best finish limits, I guess.
Yeah, BFL's changing. The rewards, I think, are different too. The booster pack rewards.
Yeah, top 512 gets 8 booster packs now. Woohoo.
Yes. That's if there are top 512 gets 9 if there's a little over 2,000 people, but like half a booster box for 256 is actually like actually kind of
yeah, that's not bad. Okay, I'll take that.
And then apparently they're
doing that anyways this whole time. I mean, it's their product. I mean, really not a whole lot of overhead.
I mean, Pokemon doesn't necessarily make money off of regionals.
Yeah,
it's mainly an advertising for their like game. So like they can do whatever they want with it because they're not making money anyway. They make money on ICs. The ICs, they make money because they put a Pokemon Center up. But
oh right, yeah.
But not on regionals. They don't make money on regionals.
Makes sense.
Yep. At least that's what I've heard.
I guess
so.
Yeah. So I guess what are the other ones? So fixed invitation per region. Best finish limits. You can now only get 6 placements at a combined regionals or ICs. I think before it was max 3 ICs, max 6 regionals. Now they're
Yep.
combined.
So it's only 6. Your best finish of 6 combined instead of 9.
Mm-hmm.
One of the other big changes was the tournament structure themselves. How many Swiss rounds and auto qualifications? Essentially making ties useless. Like in a way,
ties being useless now. 8 rounds max day 1, kind of nice.
It goes up to 9 at 2050.
Oh, okay.
You can still do 9
maybe
rounds.
We will go back to 9 eventually. I was gonna say that a max of 8 was nice because I remember, I think it was Portland regionals, the last Team Northwest regionals. I think it was.
It lasted
They ran
a while.
so late that the stream was gonna stream round 9 and then canceled round 9.
Yeah,
and then the lights shut off and the venue started to kick us out because it had gone so late that we were past our the hours for the venue. So hopefully that won't happen anymore.
We can hope. The big part of the Swiss results though was less day 2 rounds.
Yeah.
And then a byproduct of that, they did change. It's an asymmetrical cut now instead of cut 8. So whoever, if you get the same record as the person in 8th place, you're into top cut.
Yep.
So that's a change that I think that, you know what, that's a good change. That right there, the asymmetrical cut is something that should have happened forever ago anyway. Because it feels real bad to be 9th place off resistance just because one of your opponents dropped the ball at some point during the day. And
it's even worse to be 9th on opponent's resistance.
Exactly, right? And that's it's not indicative of player skill at that point, right? It's just oh man, you got lucky and you got in and I didn't for the bubble people. Now, granted, a lot of the regionals this year were clean cuts. I didn't actually look up that data, but I think there were 0 people arguing for top 8 over asymmetrical cut. So I didn't bother to go through and look at what the impact of that change would be on the data.
Yeah. So now it'll be top 16, top 32, maybe max. I
don't think it would ever go to
32,
especially with no ties, right? Because you got to imagine that everybody making day 2 is 7-2 or better, right? In a 9, I'm assuming the 2000 thing, it's either 7-2 or 6-2, right? You're not getting anything better than that. So you're between a different point threshold, because last time it was let's see, on 9 rounds, the person at 9-0 would have 27 points. And if you squeaked in, you'd be 19. So that's a difference of 8 points. Whereas this way, the person that's 8-0 is 24. And you have to get in at 18. So it's a difference of 6 points. So it's 1 point different, which can make all the difference. So I doubt they'll go to 32 because of that, though, because more people will be playing it out.
Yeah,
so to speak.
So that's a good change. I'm for that.
I will say as an aside, it is a good change. I agree with that change, but it means less Pokemon. You're playing less games for presumably the same cost.
I see that on Twitter, though. It was now we're cutting from a 2,000 person tournament down to 10% of that for day 2 to 4% of that now for most of day 2. And it's to be booked these giant, tournament venues to hold 2,000 people, maybe even more, because Pokemon's going, they have the structure listed out for even more than 2,000 people now. I think even up to 1,000. So imagine we get up to those numbers and we have 3,000, a venue for 3,000 people, and then we go to day 2 and it's oh, okay, now there's 60.
Which the good thing is that I hope, I don't think they will, because I can never count on Pokemon for a lot of things. I hope that means that there are more side events for day 2 and more things to do. Hopefully.
We'll see.
Which brings, I think that actually is a good launching point into the second point that we wanted to make. So the first point was hey, here are the changes. Those are the changes. I think you said it earlier about there's plenty of Twitter drama about this.
Sure.
We don't need to be giving you any more. I'm ready to give you some thoughts, but I got some other ideas.
I'm ready to listen, Alex.
Well, I think I don't want to toot my own horn, but there aren't a lot of people that were a competitive player with numerous worlds invites and also the general manager of a card store and
Mhm.
someone who does not have disposable income. So like that's what I'm taking it as a view from rather than like a person who is maybe doing Pokemon full time for a living and is like gassing it up for a world's invite every year. So like
Yeah.
that's
Or a
why I think I
content
have
creator and they're playing literally all the time.
yeah. So it's like I think I have that and like because I ran the card store, I've talked to a lot of people that worked for Pokemon because they come into our card store and talk to us about it. And they're like, how can we improve locals? How can we do this? And like they do the legwork. And
Mhm.
so that's what puts me in kind of a unique situation is that I think I have both sides of things. So it brings me to the point of why did Pokemon make these changes? And I think it's twofold. I think one reason they made the change was something that Mahone said on his little thing of Pokemon has to book out Worlds venues 2 years in advance, right? We already know that San Francisco is next year or the year after or whatever.
The year after, yeah.
Um, and they know that that building can only hold so many people, and they can see that the game is growing, and they need to like be like, okay, more people playing the game means more invites means we don't have the room for those people. Which like
Mhm.
throw money at the problem, man. You're Pokemon. Like you're the second or third largest media franchise. Like the I wish they would do that, but at the same time, the competitive player base is the literal lowest income that Pokemon gets. Like you, me, all the competitive folks, we're not spending money on cards. We're not giving Pokemon our money. They do not care as much as everybody else.
Mhm.
Pokemon's goal is to get people hooked so that they buy their product so they play the game, right? Like they're a business. Like that's what they're going to do. They don't
Mhm.
necessarily have a top tier invested effort in growing the competitive scene. It's grown because of content creators and people telling their friends and pandemic shenanigans. Like it's grown. And so they're like,
Mhm.
okay, we have to do something about it. And they've never been a hands-on type of business like a Riot Games or an Inner Sloth or like a lot of these other companies that like listen to their player base.
Yeah.
Not to fault Pokemon for that, but like yeah, like I get it. We don't give them as much money as other people do. So like yeah, why would
Yeah.
they?
And they're not trying to and I think that's okay with them too. Like they don't that's not why they have a competitive circuit. They have a competitive circuit so they can grow like or they can instill like that dream in people. Where like Disney, also is like they've changed their marketing to be more so of like we want we want this to be like a dream that people have because when people have a dream and a motivation towards like some I don't know maybe I'm not
Y-
explaining this well but like Disneyland happiest place on earth like they want their version of that to be a Pokemon master go and go to worlds and the top player a Pokemon master
Well,
and
it validates their game,
yeah
right? There's the board game Catan. There's a Catan national championships,
yeah
right? Um, but because it's not marketed as the big thing, like I play Catan to have fun with my friends. I'm not going to be a competitive Catan player, even though there is an equivalent world's invite
yeah
structure for a board
but
game.
but Pokemon wants all of their players and even just the collectors to have that. Like that's that's the idea of around Pokemon is be a
Correct.
Pokemon master.
It does. So it helps build on itself. So I think
Yeah.
that's one reason why they made the changes is because they're kind of worried about the size of things, and this was the way for them to like kind of put a stop on that. Um, I disagree with the way, but sure. Um, we can talk about. I mean, later on, I'll give my suggestions for how you can solve that issue. But I think the other biggest reason that they made a lot of these changes was that I think a lot of their market research was towards tournament organizers. I think they asked a lot of tournament organizers, what can we do to make these tournaments better? And evidence of that is these shorter tournaments. Because I bet you anything, most tournament organizers like these things last too long, and so they're like, cool, we'll chop off a round. Worlds is so much because we have to get so many translators, and there's a lot of moving parts, and this, that, and the other. And so they went, okay, we'll cap it, right? They said that locals are hard to run, right? Tournament organizers at the local stage are like, man, like the stores aren't working with us, and this, that, and the other. Okay, so we'll reduce the amount of locals that you need in a qualification system. I think that a lot of their market research was towards tournament organizers and not players.
Yeah.
Gosh, there was one other evidence of
And
like they're asking.
well, there's probably a big evidence towards that too, because the like maybe they changed it. The surveys that I've taken about like, rate your experience at this tournament as a player, and then they send it to you, and it's literally, I think, just 2 questions. It's like, how was it, 1 to 10? Like something else. And like, okay,
It's
great,
fine.
thanks.
Yeah.
That's all we want to hear. Never mind. That's it.
So
there wasn't a whole lot of outlets for feedback either.
Yeah. And it's you don't see them. You didn't see a lot of TOs or judges or anyone. Like judges aren't really allowed to like comment on these matters, but like the main voices you were hearing were the competitive players like coming out of the thing. And even a lot of the faces, like a lot of the commentators and that sort of thing, were not speaking ill of this that much, I should say. Right? They didn't act like it was like I know they have to put on face, like that's like part of their branding. Like they have to not give hard opinions towards things, which is fine. But they didn't ask. It's just they didn't ask competitive players. They asked tournament organizers and commentators and all the people that aren't speaking ill of it.
Yeah,
like what their thoughts are, and I think that dictated a lot of their decisions. The
Yeah,
thing that's
that makes
curious
sense.
to me is that whenever a Pokemon employee or someone, I think I can say this since I don't work for them anymore, but I think a lot of people came into the shop and said, hey, how can we improve league attendance? How are the rewards? That was one of their biggest questions. They were like, how can we make the rewards better? It's like, give us championship point events is always what I said to them. I was just like, just give us more events, man. Like that's what you can do. People just want to play. And I think they focused on sorry, what I was saying. It is weird that it's counterproductive because they were so focused on how do we grow locals and give more rewards and do all this stuff. And then they're like, yeah, but now you need less locals to qualify. Like, or like the best finish limit is changed on locals. And that's the thing that blew my mind. I was like, wait, like this is your guys' focus. This is like the bread and butter is your juniors, your seniors, your locals. Like if it wasn't for juniors, seniors, and the local players that never go to regionals, if it wasn't for those people, you and I would not be having this conversation right now. Straight up.
True.
Like those are the most important people. And I think you have to give them some sort of reward. And part of that reward, like some people's like goal is just to win a league cup, right?
Yeah.
It's 0 people listening to this. That's their goal because this is a competitive Pokemon TCG podcast. But there are so many more people out there that just play on a local level. They outnumber us 10 to 1, right? And you basically just said to them that cups aren't as important as you think they are. And that bothers me so much. It's also important for the stores. Like I'm getting down to the rabbit hole at this point. I need to stop because
maybe you can explain a little bit more like why them cutting them means that they think that cups aren't worth as much. Like maybe like it almost feels to me, cutting down from like a BFL from 6 because that was another one of the changes we didn't explain this. Cutting down from 6 max cup finishes that you could have towards your invite last to just 4.
Yep.
Isn't that kind of that they're worth more because there's fewer of them?
Well, the fun part is that according to that spreadsheet that I posted, right? I went to the local points. The average number of points that the top 127 got from locals was 350 out of 390.
Mm-hmm.
So
But
like
which,
people are doing them anyway, right? People are going to do them as much as Pokemon says that they are important. If you bumped them up to 8, I guarantee you that everyone would have 8 top finishes that are in the top 127. Most people, right? Including, I'm not ready to pop off on that human
talk about
being
that
right
later.
now. Gosh.
But
If you get
yeah,
0
this
points of your invites from locals, you need to be sat down and talked to.
Alex made a spreadsheet, giant Google sheet, which I don't really know where to share this. Like, maybe I'll put it in the description too.
It's on my Twitter.
There you go. Go to @SpokanePokemon.com. No, .com. Just go to
One day
on Twitter. Yeah, I'll also put it in the description. But he made this giant Google Doc of stats about where each of the 127 players, or top 125, because there was like a tie in there, got their championship points from ICs. How many ICs did they attend? How many regionals did they attend? What were their BFLs and placements for all of those ICs, all of those regionals, and percentage breakdowns of all of that? And so some really interesting that came out of that. So yeah, so you can see where who went to locals, who got a bunch of points from locals, and that was, a big chunk of points towards their, and who didn't. And so interesting stuff. I don't know if you want to jump into that now.
No, I think that's pretty much it. There's a lot of things. I will say that the one disclaimer that I will have on this is that this is a minimum. Like all this information, like averages and that sort of thing that you get from this, are all minimums because there are people that hit the 600 point threshold and then stopped. And then there are people that vaulted into the top 127 that weren't going for any sort of top 127 just because they had strong end game finishes, and people just stop, right? Because once you hit a certain threshold, you just like don't need to go to points anymore. I think there was a handful of people, I can't name them, but they got their invite. You can see when it happens, like on the spreadsheet, they just stop going to regionals like halfway through because they get their invite because they hit a couple things. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. But on a top 125, they wouldn't have stopped. And so it skews the numbers lower than they probably will be next year. So,
and that is so interesting, because I think that's also very telling about what people's motivations are for playing this game. And those people who just stopped, it was, maybe burnout, and they do enjoy the game, and they got burnt out, and they're like, okay, now take it easy. But if they're like, I think that just showed that, like, a lot of people, their goal for playing this game is, I want to go to the World Championships. I want to win Worlds. I will say, maybe not going to any more tournaments for like half the season after you've already got your invite probably doesn't set you up the best to actually win Worlds. But
well, in terms of a gameplay standpoint, I agree with that. But from a financial standpoint, Worlds is in Hawaii this year. And like, if I got my invite in December, I would have stopped. I did guarantee you, I love Pokemon just as much as the next person to them. I don't need to talk about how much I enjoy just playing. But if I had gotten my invite in December, I would have not attended any more regionals for the rest of the year. Guaranteed. Sorry. I will stay home and play Cube with my locals. I will stay home and continue to write a 20,000 word article on PokeBeach. You should go check it out. Shameless plug. Like I will work on retro stuff. Like I'm gonna get my Pokemon fix.
You would compile a giant spreadsheet of all the top 120 players.
Exactly.
Doing countless hours of manual labor,
like
pulling all of these stats from the Pokemon website.
I can find joy in Pokemon no matter where I'm at. I don't need to go to a regionals to do that. But if my goal is to make Worlds and I make Worlds, why are you still trying to make Worlds after you've already made Worlds? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. So like, I think it makes total sense. Like, yeah, if I qualified early in the season, I would have stayed home. Like, straight up. I'm not trying to chase a top 16 invite or anything like that. Like, I think that's the thing that just like feels like hashtag feels bad, man, is that there are going to be people that are like crushing it early in the season. And they're like, man, in any other season, I wouldn't have to spend this money to go to these regionals.
Mm.
Like,
yeah.
Anyway,
yeah, they don't get to just anymore unless they get the auto invite.
Sure, but I mean,
yeah,
I don't want to go too far into, again, I'm trying not to make this just like a Twitter rant thing, because all of the things that I've said have been said.
Yeah. Well, maybe let's talk about some of the maybe pros and cons to some of these changes. We talked about what they are, why we think we made them. Now maybe like we could talk about overall impacts. Maybe that's overall impacts of these changes that they're going to have.
I will say,
a lot of people are saying like, oh, this is making it more pay to win. This is going to make it more blah, blah, blah.
Right. And I think it is pay to win. And I think I brought this up before we started recording, so I want to make sure I can say it. You can look through the data spreadsheet and cherry pick whichever side of the argument you want. And there's two players that I want to highlight that are the extremes of the arguments that I'm seeing on Twitter.
Okay.
One of them, let me pull up my stuff. Wait, what the heck? Oh, it's 2 A's. That's right. One of them is my boy Aban Ahmed from Seattle.
Do you know? Oh, you know him. Nice.
Oh yeah, he's a good guy. Goes to UW, real fun dude. He did not attend a single IC.
Cool.
Not even attended it. Straight up did not attend it. He is ranked 96th. 96th. His finishes, he got top 8 in Los Angeles. He got 75th in Orlando, 42nd in Toronto, 62nd in Pittsburgh, 70th in Sacramento. So like he had a couple top 64s and a couple 128s. Literally 2 top 64s and 2 top 128s by San Antonio this year. And that was the 5th US regional. So like going into Portland, he was already like cruising. He was in. And the 5th place in Los Angeles is like what vaulted him into like the conversation.
And so sorry, it was basically 2 regional top 8s that got him the
one regional top 8.
Isn't there one here? Toronto regional 8th.
Toronto. Wait, what? Which page are you looking at?
The regional data page.
96 Aban, 8 on
8 in Toronto, 5th in Los Angeles.
No, Toronto he got 42nd. That 8 that you see on the far left is how many regionals he attended.
Oh, total regional. That TOT is Toronto.
Yeah, sorry, that is total.
Okay.
He went to 8. Toronto, he got 42nd. So he top 64 Toronto.
I see.
So yeah, he only went to 8 regionals. So
one top 8 regionals. Okay.
Got 126. I'm trying to figure out his locals. He got 364 from locals. So he didn't even max on locals either.
Okay. Pretty hard to completely max on locals.
It is. There were a lot of people that did it though. Yeah. A surprising number of them. But he ended up with 684 points, 320 from regionals, 364 from locals, almost a 50-50 split, no ICs. So he is the perfect example of a cherry pick of where you go, hey, you don't need to go to ICs. You're fine. Just going to regionals. Mm-hmm. Now, the complete other side of the coin, almost closely ranked to him, 105th, so just a little bit lower than him. He got 5 points less than a bond. He ended at 679, and that is my boy McKinley Freeman. I do not know who this man is. I'm sure they're a perfectly great human being. And I am not going to take anything away from this person because they are going to Worlds and I am not. So they are a good enough Pokemon player in my mind. But I did message you. He went to 3 ICs and 6 regionals. So he attended one more event than a Bond did, but 3 of those were ICs. In his IC performance, he got top 512 twice and top 256 once. in his 6 regionals, he got top 64, top 256, 2 top 512s, and 2 top 1024s. Now, I did also in the spreadsheet, if you go to IC, is it IC data CP methods? Or is it? I kept track of the, I guess I didn't save. I don't know. I kept track of the number of points thresholds that you needed to get for all those things. And in some of the ICs, this guy went 5 and 4 or 4, 4, 1 and got points. So keep that in mind.
Okay.
So he day 2'd 3 of his 9 events. And just because he was consistent in being 5 and 4, 6 and 3, 4, 4 and 1, he ends up at 105th place. And that's your cherry pick data for, yeah, he had the money to go to the 3 ICs, and the ICs got him points. If you convert that to next season, he would be 100th. He would go up because his 60, 80, and 60 points that he gets from IC eliminate one of his regional finishes because his top 3 points earnings were from ICs. He got 60, 60, and 80 from ICs, and 50, 30, and 20 from regionals in next year's thing. He got 20, 50, 30, and 20 from regionals. Yeah. Like, and he didn't make
and where would Aban have been if you translated his finishes over to next season?
89th, but that's because he has good regionals finishes, right?
So isn't that kind of an argument? Isn't that an argument for at least the combining of BFLs for regionals and ICs? That is a good thing. That makes it less pay to win because you still have to do well at those tournaments.
That specific data, yes.
Sure. Yeah.
But it was actually like inconclusive for ICs versus like them combining it being a bad thing. Or a good thing. Like it didn't make a difference because the averages like kind of spit out the same way. I think I even made a Twitter post about that where because I took all of their data from this last season and I looked at it from this year, and then I chopped off all their lowest finishes and just took their top 6 finishes as they were like into the next year. And all of the data was practically the same. It was spooky. I'm trying to find my.
Well, I don't know. As far as because I have an opinion on that. I think the combination of BFLs for regionals and ICs is a good thing. That does make it less pay to win. Because with the previous system where you could have ICs, 3 ICs and 6 regionals, the person who goes to 3 ICs will always have and gets points from those ICs will always have more points than the person who just goes to 6 regionals. Yeah, basically,
true. For the most part. Average at all.
Unless yeah, exactly. Whereas now the disparity between the two will be slightly less since they have to give up 3 of their regionals in order to get the higher value IC placements.
Right.
So I think that is a good thing.
Yeah, it just means that like I can't remember if I said it already, but like if the numbers shake out to you have to go to 2 ICs and 8 regionals. But that was under last year.
I don't think you did say it. That was one of the big things that came out of the spreadsheet, which was a majority of these people had, what was the exact number? 1.99.
Yeah, the average is almost spookily right around 2 ICs visits.
Most of the people who got their invite in North America went to or got points from 2 international championships.
So the breakdown, the way that breakdown works is that from the top 125, 40, like there were 7 there at the time I wrote this. I still didn't have data on 7 of them because of the screen name issue. But 44 players went to 3 IC, 49 players went to 2 ICs, 23 players went to 1 IC, and 4 people went to 0. of the top 125. So it shows you it's like, yeah, the majority of people went to two or three, and ended in the top.
And 4 no datas.
4 went to 0 ICs. There were 7 no datas.
Yeah, but 7 no datas. Got it.
The other thing that with the IC debate itself, is that last year, the top 1/3 of players, so I broke it down to top third, middle third, bottom third of the top 125. The top 1/3 went to 2.7 ICs, middle third went to 1.9, bottom third went to 1.9. And then if you adjust that to next year's, the top third is 2.7, the middle third is 1.9, the bottom third is 1.9. So it's still like, yeah, you got to go to 2 ICs, like, to have a shot, is where it's basically what the data's saying.
Yeah, I will say that maybe ICs in general are kind of pay to win when they
Yes.
have best finish limit of 3.
Yes.
It does kind of, it both makes sense to me and doesn't make sense to me that you can go 3 ICs. You should be able to just go to yours and that's it. But at the same time, they want,
It's
the
in the
big
name.
names, the big content creators, the big.
Well, they're called
and in the name,
intercontinentals, aren't they? Like,
yeah, which is literally the world, I suppose.
Yeah. I think I don't know if we're, let's see, conversation. Oh yeah, the goal setting conversation. I think that's something that I can talk about in a second. But I think the best way to fix it, in my opinion, is you can do a top X. I think top X is fine, but you have this problem of pay to win, right? Of people that can go to ICs have a natural leg up on everybody else. And like, there are people out there on Twitter that are like, yeah, that's just the way life works. Yuck, yuck. Like, sometimes it's unfair, but it's like, yeah, but life's unfair. This system shouldn't be unfair. And the system that it's built on is unfair. Like, yeah, there are people with more money than other people. Duh. But like, that shouldn't inhibit people from doing the thing they want to do.
Yeah. And
so
that's part of Pokemon's marketing too, is everybody can be a Pokemon master. You
exactly.
can too, So
yeah, there are things out there that cost money
you
that
can
are
too if you decide to dedicate most of your year to, not most of your year, but most of your money for the year.
Yeah.
Going to 3 ICs, or at least 1.99 according to our data.
And like time
and then
off
you
and everything.
Too can be a Pokemon.
Regardless, I think my solution is that you have a best finish limit for ICs of 1. That does not inhibit you from going to more ICs, because quite clearly, if you have more money, you still have the advantage of improving your IC placement. And I think that's a really good balance for ICs. BFL of 1 for ICs, you still can go to all 3 and improve. That just makes sense to me. And I think you do a similar thing with regionals. I think you make regionals your best 3, maybe best 4 at most, right? And then the person, like, I think of like Kevin Clemente, Mela Magikarp, who is a fellow teacher like me, who is not gonna have the time off necessarily,
especially when the tournament starts on a Friday and you have to play on Friday.
Like, it's so hard to like to say that I'm gonna take time. Like, I only can go to 3 regionals a year, probably, maybe 4, right? So it keeps it fair for all those people, because like the people that can't afford a plane ticket too can drive to probably 2 or 3. So you still get a chance, and if you crush it on all 3 of those, great. And if you don't crush it, you can pay to try again. Right? That just makes sense to me.
Yeah.
So it
seems that not only is it making it a bit more potentially pay to win, but it's potentially making it more pay to win, because now there's this moving finish line of other people are also going to be like, oh, I am not in the top 125 yet. I guess I got to shell out a little bit more money, go to this regionals, go to this IC so I can make it. And people who maybe are in the top 125 and they can't feel safe anymore. They're like, oh, well, I guess I have to shell out this money now too and go to this. I can't just not go anymore.
Right. And I think that's just it. Right.
Yeah. And this isn't even talking about the effect that it has on the juniors and seniors, because I think that it's actually probably exacerbated at their level.
Yes, and that is a point that I think I put to you that I wanted to make.
Then I'm sure huge divide for the juniors and seniors on who gets their Worlds invite, dependent on what their socioeconomic status is.
Definitely.
And maybe that makes sense. This is a luxury, essentially, to be able to
No.
disposable income on a bunch of these cards.
I've seen that luxury argument going around, and I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate it.
I mean, it makes sense that you have to use your disposable income on this card game, and there's a correlation with how much disposable income you have, and because of the current structure. But so I'm sure there's going to be a huge correlation on socioeconomic status and who gets their fights.
I'm actually really curious if they do I don't know who could do the survey, but do a survey of
breakdown.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Of this year's top 125 and then next year's, and see if there's a big difference. Like, what do you do for job?
That might be a study that we can do, Alex.
I don't know if I
do have a PhD in psychology now.
Could you find 125 people's contact info?
That might be a little bit of
you could crowdsource it. We know enough people, right?
Sure. I don't think so. I mean, it would be interesting to do.
Hey, we could, if we start at the top. Andrew Hedrick lives in the same state I'm about to live in, so I can take care of Hedrick.
At least one. Congratulations.
Thank you.
0.75% of people that we
I do think that there is another conversation to be had about goal setting. I've seen a lot of people
Let's do it.
Use that as a not a scapegoat. Like, people are just like, hey man, you should set different goals, and like that'll make you feel better. And it's like, yes, but like there are so many people that are close to the right thing, that are close to saying the right things, but are saying it in the wrong way. Like, people are like, hey, if all that you're getting out of this game is going to Worlds, then maybe you should adjust your goals. And it's like, yeah, get more out of this game other than going to Worlds, but don't say it like that. Like, play the game for the love of the game, and if you get to Worlds, great. And if that's your goal, great. But like, also, like, the Pokemon community as a whole has always been really, 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 really bad about judging other people's goals and judging other people's like motivation for playing. And it's so embarrassing half the time I read these things, because it's just like, just play the game. Like, just play it, man. And if you don't have fun, don't play it. Like, why can't that be the thing? Like, why can't everyone just like appreciate that other people are doing this thing that they are also doing, instead of being like, oh man, like, you don't have a Worlds invite, fart, I'm not talking to you. Like, man, they're playing the same game that you are. Awesome. And if people didn't play the game that you played, there wouldn't be a competitive scene. So I'm very much tired and frustrated of everyone just brushing it under the rug, saying, oh, just adjust your goals, or oh, just it's pooping on other people for their goals and that sort of thing. It's just like, no, man, like, just play. It's literally in the name of the organization. Play Pokemon. Friggin' just do that. Like, if someone comes up to you and is just like, here's this retro format, play it, do it. If someone's like, I want to play Cube this weekend, just do it. Like, what are we doing here? Like, there are so many people like, oh, I can't play retro because I'm focusing on current standard, and they're sitting at 50 points. And like, I get that they're sitting on current standard and that sort of thing, but like, don't poop on my fun. Like,
sometimes retro makes you better at
retro
in general.
There is a great article on PokeBeach about why retro makes you better at.
Who wrote that?
I friggin' wrote it.
It was me.
It was me.
It was him, Mr. Krabs. He was number one.
I'm so tired of people.
I have a question about, or a clarification. You said that, you see on a lot that most people are ragging on people's goals. Do you see it more as the people whose goals are to attend worlds are getting ragged on, or the people who don't have that goal are getting ragged on?
I see it both ways, especially at like locals and stuff, right? I have seen firsthand that people get driven away from their local scene because the competitive players come over and either beat them or tell them that their deck is bad or whatever, right? And like those people are just there to play, you know. So that's the competitive people ragging on the other way, and then that's the reciprocal is also true of like all the competitive people ragging on each other for their specific goals. So I think
Well, what goals? Like if it's the competitive people ragging on other competitive people for their goals, what goals are getting ragged on?
I think it's
I want
world
I
specific.
want to go to worlds goal,
Yes.
and other people being like, oh, maybe that's gonna happen for you because
Oh, that
so
scared
and
the
so,
crap out of
whatever.
me. I saw my door
A
opening in
spirit
the
just entered Alex's room.
that's the one thing that the viewers are gonna on YouTube are gonna get is this door just opening spiritually. You're here
So,
with me, bud.
so the
Sorry.
yeah, maybe this is getting too much in the weeds, anyways. But
Hey, well, I might not have articulated it good enough. I probably didn't, but figure it out, cat.
this podcast is sponsored by Alex's cat. What's your cat's name?
Seymour.
Seymour Butts.
His name is ironic because he has one eye.
Funny.
Lee named it's Lee's cat, but she had him before we met, and she did not realize she named him after Little Shop of Horrors, and did not realize the irony. Makes it so
The
much funnier.
irony.
Okay, but
I mean, technically, if Seymour took your last name, it'd be Seymour Cook.
Yep.
Anyways.
Seymour took my last name. Goal ragging. I don't know. I think I don't know how to articulate it better, but there is a sense that people have entitlement with Worlds invites, and then people that aren't going for Worlds invites but still playing competitively are not as seen as valued as those that are going for Worlds invites.
Mm-hmm.
Like even just having the goal, like not even obtaining the goal of Worlds invite, like day one, September 1st, if there is a person that's like, I'm going for a Worlds invite, and a person that says, I'm not going for a Worlds invite, but I still would like to play current standard, please. And I'm going to go to like 4 regionals. Like there seems to be a kind of a rift between those two types of people.
Yeah. Do you think these changes should have an impact on people's goal setting for the upcoming season?
Oh, I think Pokemon in general, Pokemon players in general should have a better mentality with goal setting.
Better mentality for it, not better goal setting.
Both, I guess both in a sense. Mm-hmm. That also is the teacher in me though, of like, hey kids, like set good goals for yourselves.
Set good goals. Don't
do drugs.
But if you shoot for the moon, even if you miss, you'll be amongst the stars.
There you go. Everyone should go for a Worlds invite.
Poster.
I hate that. I hate that. Man, just like
go for a Worlds invite, and even if you miss, you'll still be top. You'll still be 126th place. You'll still get a promo league buddy poffin.
I would love to have the person that gets 126th on the podcast next year. I'm going to seek that person out and sit their butt down and ask them some hard questions.
I'll have to do a lot of censoring of their curse words.
Maybe. I don't know. If it's like, if they're like in good spirits about it, like, I don't know, man. Like, I think it depends on how they got 126th. Like, if their placement at NAIC got them to 126, right? Then they would just like blame themselves. But if they were like 125th and then they got bumped to 126th, yeah, I think that person would
Yeah,
be a
that's
little bit
true.
mad, right? Like I think it depends on how they
Yeah.
get to that part. But
Like, what Piper this last season was 17th, right? Barely missed out on the top 16 because she got bumped. Maybe it wasn't this season, one of the seasons.
yeah, it must because she finished 59th this season.
Okay, I think what was it? Yeah, I don't remember. But yeah, so she got bumped, and so missed out on that big top 16
Yeah. And like
reward
those
package.
kind of people, like the top of the tops that are going for it every year, your Hedricks, your Manleys, your Cal Connors, like
Your
those are
Manleys.
your Manleys. I love Grant Manley. Um,
He's great.
Good guy. One of my favorite of the top 16. I'll tell you who my least favorite is, but
We should, yeah,
no.
we should have Grant on the podcast.
We should. I think he'd be good.
Yeah, maybe I'll reach out to him. Anyways, okay, so goal setting. I mean, sure.
I think
it's
the
good to have good
goal.
goals for people in general.
I think
should have good
people just
goals
need
and-
to breathe and play
Mhm.
and be excited that other people are also playing.
Do you mean do nothing but breathe and play?
Yeah, if I could.
You were for a
Shoot.
while.
Yeah.
You built a whole custom cube with just
Yeah.
custom cards.
I still need to like get nicer prints of all those and actually finish that up. It's like finished, but not finished, you know?
Yeah.
I haven't touched it in a while because I was
Well,
working on the article for so long and then I was playing retro.
makes
And, yeah.
That makes sense. Well, so I mean, I'll give a little bit of insight into my perspective on, because I didn't play a little bit of insight into my perspective on my own goals, as an example. So for this season, I was like, whatever. I got my World's Invite last year. I'm happy. This year, I'm going to focus on finishing up school, buying a house, blah, blah, blah.
Girlfriend?
Milestones. Girlfriend, sure.
Sure.
And
sure.
Just
oh
kidding.
boy,
She's
get
great.
her in here.
And so, yeah. So this season I took it easy, with the mentality of take it easy season. Next season I really want to go hard, and go for worlds and win worlds. I think that should be like. Well, I was gonna say that should be everybody's goal. That's what Pokemon wants everybody's goal to be, is for them to be like, I want to win worlds. Let's go to everything we possibly can. Give them all our money. That's what they want. Everybody's goal to be. And so I would say, I want my goal to be that too. Maybe not the giving them all my money part, but I do want to go and I do want to win worlds. And so with the new season change, my goals haven't necessarily changed. Maybe the route to getting there has changed now, and maybe a little bit more annoying, and there's more friction involved in getting there. But my goal is still, I want to go to regionals. I want to do the best I can, and I want to get to worlds. Now, so I mean, my goals haven't changed, I think, that much, and so I don't know. That's my perspective on the changes and their impact on goal setting.
With the changes, are you now? What is your biggest hurdle? Do you think is it monetary or is it time based? Which are you more concerned about?
Definitely time based. I'm already out of vacation time for the year, so that's going to be a big restriction. I can't go to LA because of that. And so it's mainly the time based and how much I can dedicate to that. That being said, that just means I have to like kill it even more at the ones I go to. So I guess it just puts more pressure on those events that I do go to. I don't have as much freedom, and I do have to be better at the game, or like appearance. Maybe sometimes better to be lucky than good.
Oh yeah.
At those events.
And I think
it's really just that time and money gives you freedom to go to more events, therefore lowering Yeah, basically explaining pay to win,
Yeah.
lowering how good or lucky you have to be at those events.
I mean, yeah, if the best is to go to 2 ICs, 6 regionals, right? And that's all you get. Where there are people that you want to know the max, by the way? Let's see, where is it? Regional data, total regionals attended. I do believe there was a human being that went to 15 region. Sorry, 18. 18 is
Oh,
the max for
isn't that all of
regionals.
them?
Most of them.
18 is the max.
No. They went to 18 regionals or special events.
How many were there total?
Oh, more than 18? Hold on. 25.
Okay.
And that's international, mind you, right? Like 25 includes like Liverpool, Melbourne, Dortmund, that sort of thing. Lille.
I mean, I feel like Azul didn't go to special events.
No,
Tord
Azul.
was it Tord?
Azul.
Who went
Oh,
to
this is
18?
only NA. This is only NA.
Oh, okay. Who went to
Uh,
18 of these?
Gabe Smart.
That makes sense. Okay.
And he finished 15th. Gabe Smart also went to all 3 Intercontinentals, with his best finish being NAIC at 27th, but then he did not get points at EUIC. He finished almost 1200th. And so, like, imagine if that's like your only IC, right? And you went to EUIC and got 1200th. That's
Yeah,
you'd be missing
and
out
goes
on.
to show also that even the top players. I mean, this game is a luck based game. Sometimes you're just gonna have bad finishes.
Yes. I mean,
So,
Grant Manley, number 4, finished 589 in Los Angeles.
Hmm.
So I didn't look at points. I think I at one point looked. Oh yeah, average placement. That's what I looked at once. I had average placement. The best person with like a significant data best placement is number 3, Lucas Zing or Zhang. That's
mhm.
how you say it. He went to 11 regionals and he finished on average 46th place.
Oh, that's
But
interesting. App place at regionals and ICs for each of these people.
yeah, it's kind of
Kind of
weird
look
because like
back.
there are people that bomb once because like your wins aren't going to weigh as much as your bombs.
You know what you
Um,
should do? You should release a power rankings based off of. I guess you can average people who just went to 1 and killed it. I
well, I
think
can
that's
tell you,
really.
well, with a minimal of because like yeah, there was a that's Luke Morsa uh had an average of 49th, but he only attended 4 regionals.
Henry
Um,
Chow average placement 36th.
yeah, and I only have data for 2 of his. I think I ended up throwing his data out at the end of all of my calculations because he had only gone to 2 regionals, and I was like, that doesn't seem right at all.
This
But
is kind of a cool power rankings. I want to post this.
anyway, yeah.
This is in order sorted, average placement at regionals
So I would say,
only.
well, I would do it based off of I would say take out Luke Morsa and Henry Chow, and then you have your top 8, and all of them went to at least 6 regionals,
Hmm.
right? And so then it'd be Lucas Jing, I think is how you say it, Reagan Retzloff, Ray Long, Isaiah Bradner, Tyler Matthews, Jackson Ford, Cal Connor, and Bodie Robinson. And
Hmm.
then if it's at least 6, it would then go to Aban Ahmed and Jack Carter.
Hmm.
Jack, big shout out to Jack Carter too. He's a homie.
Cool.
So
Yeah, interesting. Anyways, um, super cool spreadsheet that you put together. I'm excited to look at it more.
there's some weird data on it.
So kind of talk about goal setting. Um, we could talk about solutions. Um,
I think the
I don't
solutions was
know.
just oh, go for it. Go for it.
Well, I was gonna say the only thing I could think of on that topic, is we have the system now. What what could we do to? Is it how you would fix this structure? Alex has an outline written down. So, is it when you mean solutions? Do you mean how you would fix the structure, or like what we can do with this current structure that will hopefully try to like abet all of these
I guess
things?
I had put it as like a how you would fix the structure because like clearly no one
Hmm.
agrees with the structure or at least the competitive
I
side.
have Yeah, I have a suggestion that I think I could see them actually implementing, because I think it's very interesting that the new day one structure says has lowered the match points required to get to day two from 19 points to 18 points.
Mhm.
I think that's really interesting. And I think if you have when it goes to 9 rounds, you need 21 match points, right?
Correct. 7
I'm
2 or
pretty
better,
sure. So you have to go 7-2. You can no longer go 6-2-1
which is
to get
wild.
to day two. And so it's really interesting to me that one, they changed it from a number that not divisible by 3, 19, down to a number that is divisible by 3, 18, and then incremented it by threes. So now 21 points is the next increment to what you need to make day two. Um, Essentially, what's interesting about that is that when you win a game, you get 3 match points. And so people have been saying like, "Oh, it eliminates the need for ties. Now ties are useless." That is true. I wonder if Pokemon is not finished refining their tournament structure and they're potentially considering cutting out ties or having some sort of system that is now
Oh,
going to be prizes, go off prizes in game 3 like they used to have. Um, and that's why they switched it to 18 points, 21 points required to go to day two, because they're like, well, you don't need 19 anymore, because that's 19 is even going to be possible, but we're going to take out the possibility of ties.
right. And
What do you think?
I had seen some people like say if they did that, rounds might be longer. Um, my guess is that that's not going to be the case because I think they, like I said at the start, I think they talked to tournament organizers and they want tournaments to be shorter. So I don't think they're going to actually increase round length. It would be a welcome change. I'd be
Well,
stoked if that was the
I
case.
don't, and I'm not necessarily saying increased round length.
But that's what I
I'm
saw
just
as
saying no more ties.
right. And I saw people, well, yeah. So I saw people say that they might increase round length because of this change. But I
Yeah,
think,
no, I could see them not doing that. I think you made a good point with probably a lot of research is coming from TOs.
yeah. And so I think the reaction to it is that you're going to see more gentlemen's agreements. Um, because we have had this tournament structure this is day one worlds tournament structure, right? Day one worlds is you have to get to a certain points to get to day two worlds. And it's been that way
Mhm.
for a while. And there's an increase of gentlemen's agreements at those events.
Yeah.
And
I
that's a
mean, yes,
problem.
yeah, the players have kind of taken it into their own hands.
Yes.
But I mean, I think that is probably a different point than the one I'm trying to make, which is
Oh,
I think that Pokemon might just abolish ties in
just all
general,
together.
because they do extend every game that ends in a tie is essentially a null match. That was a wasted 50 minutes for those two people.
Sure.
Maybe that's exaggerative a little bit. Um, Pretty much has a very minimal effect on those two players' tournament runs, and they could have maybe even not played that game in some cases, and it would have just as much effect. And so ties do make. I mean, you will. It'll take longer to get to a top 8 or top 16 or whatever if you have ties happening than you would if
True.
you eliminated ties.
Yeah. Okay. So I see where you're getting at now. It'd be interesting.
So
I
I
mean,
would like to see them do that.
I don't know how I feel about it quite yet. Um,
You like ties?
as a Sable Guard player, I will say that no.
Now a Blacklax player, so
Yeah.
you
I
know
just like
be biased, I guess, too.
do I like ties? No. Is there a good solution based off of how the game is played to implement a tie in a timed setting? No.
Mhm.
Because essentially I mean, it comes down to the control argument, right? It comes down to, oh man, I got donked game one, game two ran really long, and we didn't finish game three. And like I know that they're if they eliminate ties, there'll be solutions to that. But
Mhm.
I can also
But the ties
see
are
it feels bad, man. Slow starts game three that went to time. right, would have been a tie in the previous system, but not this one. Like there's
Yeah,
just a lot of
but I
what
mean,
if scenarios that I don't love with
yeah.
abolishing ties.
Also, counter argument to that, Black Lax won a regionals this year. You know, it's still that good.
It
So, I
is.
mean,
I guess
I don't think Pokemon cares that much.
no. The short version of the tie elimination thing is that based off the way that the game is designed, there are potential different issues that arise.
Mhm.
Like you're replacing one problem with a different problem. And Pokemon needs to decide which problem that they like.
I don't know. It doesn't seem like that much of a problem to me. I can't think of many problems that it would cause besides control being slightly worse, or you have to at least get luckier or better
Right. Well,
playing your deck.
yeah. I worry. I worry that their solution is not going to be a good one. Maybe that's what I'm trying to say.
I hope that's the solution. I would like to see it. I hate ties.
I remember when ties were introduced, that the community loved it.
Yeah,
Like it was
I think I do
people
remember.
were stoked.
I mean, I will say I hate ties even as a player who went 504 to make day 2 at Salt Lake Regionals.
I've made day 2 on a 504 record, playing
Yeah,
Primal
great.
Groudon back in the day.
Undefeated, baby.
Let's go. So I don't know how I land
Yeah,
on the tie issue.
could happen. Could happen.
The
A lot of things lining up. They make sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. I'm just bummed that we might get less Pokemon out of regionals. Like I think 8-round regionals just feels bad because you're playing less Pokemon, and that's sad. I want to play more Pokemon.
less forced Pokemon. You can still go back to your hotel, play, as much retro as you want.
Yeah, I can also just stay home and play retro.
Yeah, I guess so.
Like if I wanted the most Pokemon per hour, I would just stay home.
Sure.
If I'm paying money to get championship
If
points,
the most Pokemon per hour, you would play Pokemon TCG Live, which is actually not the case because of how slow it is.
That's true.
Yeah,
I've been playing a lot of that.
It's gotten better.
Yeah, did I tell you I went 5-1 in an online tournament the other day?
Wow, congratulations, buddy.
Thanks. It was my one tournament that I've played in the last 6 months.
Was that your goal? Was to win an online tournament? That's your goal for the season? I want to win.
Is to win an online tournament. Yeah.
Yep.
I'll make that my goal.
Good. That should be your goal.
Yeah.
That's a good goal to have, buddy. Sorry. I forgot that people are ragging on goal setting. Fuck you. That's a stupid goal. That's a dumb goal, and you should feel ashamed.
My goal for the next competitive season is to play more Pokemon all the time.
I feel like been your life goal.
Yeah, I just want to play. Shoot, okay. That's why I'm excited for the move. I feel like I'll get to play more Pokemon.
Yeah.
I'm off work at 2:30.
So it's gonna be great. So
I can go beat up Andrew Hedrick.
Any last thoughts about this topic before we wrap up? I feel like we've covered a lot of good stuff.
I feel like we started the first 20 minutes strong, and then the next 40 minutes we're not. I feel like we just rambled.
What do you mean?
I feel like I rambled. I feel like I made like at least 6 very incoherent sentences, and I'm gonna be getting a message from someone.
Had a structured rambling because we have an outline this time.
That's true.
Followed very loosely.
I went on a bike ride today, and like on the bike ride, I was like, I'm gonna say everything so correct, and I'm gonna make so many good points. And then I got here, and I was like, blah blah blah.
You did great, buddy.
Thank you. I support your local game stores. That's the only other thing I'll say. Go to your locals. Play locals.
Go to your locals. Increases the level of play.
Don't listen to people that tell you to. Don't follow in the footsteps of people that don't go to locals. Don't make those people your heroes, because that's a bad person to have as your hero.
Speaking of local game stores, you should check out Elite GameSpot Grading, the sponsor of today's episode. They do a ton of awesome grading I've had several cards of my own sent over to them. They have a really cool system where they do this zone grading, so you'll know exactly where the flaws in your cards are. And they also register it onto the blockchain, so you can see where your card is at if you sell it, or if you buy somebody else's card. If you buy towards World Championship winning not tropical beach, Paradise Resort, you'll be able to, and you buy it, you'll be able to see that it was towards, and if you sell it, you'll be able to see where it goes. So super cool aspect of that. Check them out at egsgrading.com. And thanks again for being a sponsor.
EGS grading. There's also articles. Well, there's also wait. Oh man, I had it at some point.
Now we're definitely gonna get derailed.
Don't you have like some old articles on there that you used to write?
On the grading website?
Yeah, egsgaming.com, is that what it is?
egsgrading.com.
Grading, that's why. Why am I? EG.
Well, anyways, we should wrap up this episode because
No.
Now we're definitely rambling.
No, this is important. TCG blog.
I have a lot of articles, a lot of places, Alex.
Yeah, but you can see this guy's goofy face on. Oh yeah, there's a EUIC Team EGS vlog. Andrew Zavala makes points.
Woo!
April 19th,
That's when I
2020.
exactly 128th place to get my world invite. I need a top 128 at UIC.
Hey, why don't they stop posting our episodes? Looks like they posted episode 5 and then they stopped doing it. What's up with that?
Damn.
Make a call. Make a call. Honestly.
Hello, EGS grading. Yeah.
I play Pokemon. Just play Pokemon, everybody. God, just stop
play some Pokemon.
complaining and just play Pokemon.
Just play some Pokemon. Just stop complaining and play Pokemon. The people yearn to complain, Alex.
I got fired up this week because of all this Twitter drama, and that's what caused the spreadsheet. And I was just like, pick whatever, go through the spreadsheet and pick whatever data best supports your point, and then realize that data is sitting right next to someone else. And that all these people, you know what these people did? Everyone's in the top 125, they played Pokemon this season, and they probably had a good time doing it.
I will say I am still excited. My goals have not changed for next season. I still want to make worlds. I still want to play lots of Pokemon. I still want to get better at the game. My goals for next season, so they haven't changed. So
good.
Sweet. Well, thank you everybody for listening. You can follow us on Twitter, X at DrewTooManyCast. Also follow Alex and me on Twitter. And I'm not going to say our Twitter tags, but our new episodes come out every other Wednesday, but I guess they changed now. We're kind of releasing weekly.
Honestly, the weekly episodes, let us know in the comments what you think. And I personally promise more content in the next couple months.
Yeah, we like to be releasing weekly now. Sometimes we won't have all 4 of us, but we're still going to try and have all 4 of us when we can. Just the summer, so people have been out and about. So anyways, you can stay tuned for more content from us. We've got a lot of new things in the works for the upcoming new season. I'm super excited about that. And so, yeah, we're going to be doing some cool stuff. So stay tuned and make sure to follow on Spotify and rate 5 stars if you haven't already. So appreciate y'all for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.